things going, Salsa? Nice. So now we can start. So good evening, everyone. Hope you had a nice lunch and a nice faculty tour. Yes. So also welcome to the first General Assembly of the 71st IVSA Symposium. Yeah, very excited for it. It's also my first GA as president. So cool. Yeah. So I think we can start, right? Uh, yeah, it's a cool thing. So the first topic for today. Uh, oh, oh, just learning. Sorry. Okay, so I would like to call this meeting to order at 14:34 UTC plus one. Nice. All right. I forgot it's like an exco meeting, but for 100 people. Okay, so the first topic that we have for today is first of all a welcome, which I already gave, and also some introduction to the GE proceedings, right? So first, introduction to IVSA. Yeah, I know that you guys are used to old and boring slides, but we have new and prettier ones. Yes, yes. Huh. That's awesome. Where is the present button? Okay, so let's talk about IVSA for those of you that don't know. So IVSA stands for International Veterinary Student Association, right? We are existing since '53. We were created in Germany, and we are the largest nonprofit veterinary student association in the world, right? We are run by veterinarians for veterinarian students, or by veterinarian students for veterinarian students, which is awesome, right? This is our mission statement. I think you all can read it. I will not read because it will take quite a long time, right? And how is our structure, right? So at the moment, we have around 25,000 members in around 190 universities of 70 different countries around the world, right? Who knows, maybe we're going to increase this number by the end of these GAs. Each member belongs to a national member organization, is NMO, or just MO, as you would like to call. And some of them also consist in different local chapters. This is the structure of this term, so that's me in the middle. Most of Exco is here on this table, and you can find them also spread around this GA hall, as well as some official. All of them wearing these awesome shirts, similar to the one I'm wearing right now. Cool. And what do we do? Right. So first of all, we do have our exchanges program, the online, that is not here, the individual, and the group one. Besides these, we also have our committees and networks, our development fund, our congress and symposium, which we are right now. We do collab with several companies and entities in veterinary areas around the world. We have local events that are organized by our MOs, and we do publications, sorry. Right? So regarding the exchanges that I mentioned a few slides ago, each year we organize groups exchanges and individual exchanges. That the whole reason of it is, besides you travel and visit a new country, you also get to learn a lot social-wise and then veterinarian-wise. So let's start with group exchanges, right? So basically, oh, that wasn't expected. So how does those group exchanges work? So basically, we have two groups of students from different MOs, right? They organize two different travels. So first of all, one MO goes to the other location, and then the other way around, right? So basically, it's a nice opportunity for them to have an understanding, a contact with different culture, and also a better opportunity to learn about how veterinary science is practiced in the other country that they are visiting. Right? We also have our awesome committees and networks that you can see their logos here. I will not read this because it will take forever. So we have our veterinary or our standing committee on veterinary education. our standing committee on One Health, our standing committee on career attributes, animal welfare, and wellness. Then going to our networks, we have three networks: the alumni network, that is also organizing an event here that starts tomorrow, the Equine Network, and the Wild and Exotic Animals Network. Now go talking a little bit about our development fund, right? So our development fund is more focused on organizing projects for countries from low income according to IVSA bylaws, right? Or developing countries. So at the moment, what we are organizing and projects that are usually held are scholarship grants. We do have the IVC Evidencia Fund to support MOs from those regions of developing countries financially with their projects, which I believe we have open calls. The calls are open at the moment for you to apply. The Be Kind Award, reduced fee spots for members of those countries to attend the symposium and the congress. We do have the IVSA merchandise that you also should check, that I believe will be during the breaks or at the end of the GA for you guys to check and buy it. They're very awesome. We do have the membership fee fund to support also MOs from developing countries that struggle, paying the fees. And the silent and live auctions that you also get the opportunity to see in a few days here during the event. Awesome. I just explained about the scholarship grant. Then the Be Kind Award that I did not talk that much. So basically, it's an opportunity for MOs to engage with projects to support the DAD fund. And then the money will be used for the same way the projects that I explained in the previous slides. The reduced fee spots that we do have two members here in this event that were awarded with it. The awesome merchandise. You guys should definitely check it. Okay, I'm not gonna keep repeating it. Yeah, those photos are very nice. They're from Brazil, which, by the way, was very, very fun. I heard that Alison is going to present for us this year. Right, and for those of you that don't know, we also host our congress and symposiums, right? So here is one of those events. On the photo is the congress that we held in Brazil in the middle of the year, last year, right? Then we have inside the symposiums, we have our mandatory parts as the opening ceremony that we had this morning, our general assembly that we are having right now, lectures that you have the opportunity for the upcoming days, workshops organized by our committees and the international stands, and also cultural evening. So as you can see in the timeline here right now, we are in the 71st Symposium in Slovenia. Then in July, August, we're going to have the 72nd Congress in Denmark. And then the 72nd Symposium in Indonesia. All right. We also do a lot of collaborations. Here you may see our Diamond sponsor, Purina Institute, as well with some other sponsors that are not Diamond, but are also very important, like Purina Brand or Purina Pro Plan, SIVA, these other ones, which, by the way, just so that you know, OAE just changed their names, is now UA, not OAE. And then we also have our publications, so that you may check on IVSA social media, which I strongly suggest you to follow if you don't, and you can see there below. We have our IVSA journal. We have also our website. So this is our Facebook page. I suggest you guys take photos in case you're not following. Yes, I'm checking. Yeah, well. Yes, and we also have a Twitter account for those of you that didn't know that. And also the IVSA journal that is released twice a year, right? So usually we have the summer and the winter edition. And finally, our IVSA website. I'm not going to keep repeating. So these are the regions, Instagram pages that you may find them, and also the MOD one. The EAD page. Yeah, join us, guys. And I hope you all catch the names and start following on the social media, which I have the notifications on my phone. So if you don't, I will know about it. So that was basically a quick intro about IVSA, right? Does anyone has any questions about it? Okay, so we can move to the next topic, my favorite one. That is the introduction to Robert's Rules of Order newly revised. Awesome. Okay, so now on this presentation, I'll be teaching you a little bit about Robert's Rules of Order, right? So for those of you that don't know, according to our Constitution, this is the standard way that we should follow our General Assembly sessions, right? And we are going to talk about how voting process works according to Robert's rules, right? So voting as a member organization and the different types of casting votes that we have, right? Besides these, we're going to talk about the standard procedures of Robert's Rules of Order. First of all, what is that? Then motions, how to make ones, and the secondary ones that are also very important. So, regarding votes, for those of you that don't know, each MO has the right for 2 votes, right? And the idea is that before you put the votes, you will reach a consent between the MOs, right? Before the different members attending and also the different local chapters that you guys have, right? So you can vote in favor of something, against something, or abstain, so, right? And since you have 2 votes, you can do that for each one. So you can have 2 votes in favor, 1 vote in favor, 1 against, the other options as well, right? So important thing, when you abstain for a vote, is the same way as you don't vote, right? It's not as I'm against something. If you're against something, you should vote that you're against. That's important. So here is a better explanation in case you want to do. So it's usually used in case you do not have a formal opinion about something. For example, let's say that your MO is the different chapters of them and the different representatives that are here are very undecided, right? So you have different opinions from both sides. So you don't reach a consent, so you can abstain from voting on this case, or in case you do not have a formal opinion on it. Uh, Again, if we are voting, and that's specific about person, so on the elections that we're going to have there later, you cannot vote against. So against is not an option when you're talking about person or MOs, right? So that's specific for elections. You can vote for a person or abstain for voting. You cannot vote against a member. Right. So now a few examples. So if you have one MO with only one local chapter or without local chapter, as many MOs have, it's very easy. You just see the majority of opinion from the delegates, and then you use the votes. If it's a split, you divide the votes. Easy. Then if you have 2 local chapters, for example, then you see the decision from one and then the decision from the other one. Since you have 2 votes, it's still very easy, right? Things start to get complicated when you have more than 2 because you only have 2 votes. So then the idea is that you start to reach consent between the bad schools, and then the way that you want to do is up to you. But the idea is that the vote represent the majority and the opinion of most members. So to conclude here, you should always discuss with everyone, discuss with your members, discuss with the ones that are here and the board members that may not be here as well, and check their opinions before making the decision on what will be your vote. All right, so also, in order to facilitate our life when counting the votes, it's ideal that you select one person to always vote, right? So you will see that you have online card voting cards, right? So to facilitate us, always the same person raising them becomes way easier for us that are counting here, right? So you will receive online cards since by the previous event realized that printed ones do not work since you guys forget them at the hotel on the first day, right? So you have online ones that will be available for you guys in the Google Drive, right? If they are not there already, they will see you will definitely be putting them right now. And how it works. So you will have the option of the full page with two green cards. That means that two votes are in favor. Two red cards. That means that two are against. You have a page with half green, half red. That means one is against, one is in favor, right? And also you have the white options. There are abstentions, right? So it goes like all the options that we can have. Besides this, we have some other cards that are used to help us, the yellow, the blue, and the orange. They are used for secondary motions that I'm going to bring in a few minutes. So now in order to cast your vote, before we do that, the chair, in this case it's me at the moment, will ask if anyone has any objections, right? The reason for this is if we see that discussion, we don't have that much discussion on one topic, and nobody has any objections, we don't need to vote. We agree that is a concept, right? If silent, then it's fine. We pass the way it is. If someone said that they object something, then we need to start voting on this matter, right? So if we need to vote, how are we going to do? We're first going to do the card raising vote. That is basically after someone says objections, then the chair will ask, move a motion and request all the MOs to raise their phones in this case with the vote that they have, right? Then again, you're gonna have two votes. You can choose the option how you're gonna use it. And in case the result's very obvious, so we see a majority of votes depending on one way, that's it. In case we see that we are very divided or unable to just by look define the results, we're gonna call for a roll call vote. Nice. So if we have a roll call vote, basically we're gonna do a roll call MO by MO, and then at that moment you're gonna state your vote. So basically, say, show us your card, and we're gonna count that for the Secretary General is going to count that, so we have the very precise results. When calling for a motion, and we do need roll call vote, we need 2/3 of votes in order to approve it. That's extremely important. If you don't raise your hand, don't show us, or do not speak, what is your vote? Then we're going to consider that you are abstaining from it. Also, if you're not present. Okay, so just to summarize this. First of all, the chair will ask if anyone has any objections on something that we're discussing. If no one has objections, end of story. If someone says that they object, then you're going to for the card raising vote. Right? On the card raising vote, you're just going to raise your phone. That's our cards. And then if we do have a clear difference here in the results, that's it. If we, in case we do not have a clear decision, we go for the roll call vote. And then on the roll call vote, I said you can raise your card, but on the roll call vote, you just state if you're in favor or if you're against. And the Secretary General will mark those in the roll call vote spreadsheet. Thanks. Any questions on what I just said? Nice. So let's move to Robert's Rules of Order. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Robert's Rules of Order are a set of rules that we use to conduct meetings, right? The reason that we have those rules is so that the meeting goes efficiently in a very precise way that we can control, right? And also is made so we do not have conflict with our constitution and bylaws, right? I know that for some of you, when I start explaining, it might be something very tricky, but please do not take this as a way to avoid you from participating. The only reason we do have those rules is to have, as I mentioned, everything in a standard and organized way. All right, so let's go to it. So first of all, we do have our motions, right? What are motions? Is our formal way for you to propose something to the GA. So in case here, one thing that's extremely important, only delegates can propose motions, right? So the chair cannot. Members that are here but they are not delegates also cannot propose motions. What the chair can do is entertain or suggest a motion, and then somebody will need to take it for them, basically, which we go like, I'm gonna explain in a moment. So what is the procedure? So first of all, you raise your hand, then the chair is gonna point to you and acknowledge your presence. Somebody's gonna give you the mic. Wait for the mic to start speaking. That's very important, right? Then you're gonna say, what's your name? What is your voting entity? In this case, your MO. So we have a very cool example that I took from Neymar, right? In this case, he can be from EXCO member, if he's an EXCO member, or I can say Brazil, if in case he's not from EXCO, right? The voting entity, right? So the MO, it also needs to be the national MO. You cannot speak your local chapter, since local chapters do not vote, only national MOs vote. Then, in order for you to suggest what you want to suggest, you need to start to, I move that, and then you explain to us what you want to suggest to the GA. After you move that, somebody needs to say second, which is usually a very fun part, when somebody moves a motion, and when somebody's seconded, the floor is open for discussion about what's just suggested. In order to make things clear, the person that makes the suggestion always has the priority on speaking, right? So basically a way for them to defend their suggestion or justify it, right? An important thing, after you raise your hand and speak, in case you want to speak it again, you need to wait for everyone that did not speak, speak first. So basically you are the last one in the priority list. Then once we finish with hands, we can call for a vote. So that would be, then the chair would ask if there's our objections, and then we go back to what I was talking. And before I move to the next slide, I see a hand here. Just 1 second, because I was hoping that somebody was going to give the mic to you so that the minutes can capture everything.
Hi, Trained Doctor in Ireland. I suggest you do an example like this.
Oh, that was a nice. Yeah. This was not planned. Yes, I am. Yeah, and for that I invited my pal here, Neymar Jr. Yeah. It actually took me a long time. So how does it work? So as I was saying, first step, you raise your hand, right? As you can see here, and raise. Second step, you say your name, you say your MO. It took me a long time to find those photos, by the way. Then we go to the third step. After the chair acknowledges you, you state your motion, right? So you always need to start with I move that. And in this case, is for me, a very fair way to decide how election should go. So basically a football match. After you do that, somebody from the GA that cannot be you needs to second it. And once that's done, we open the floor for discussion. I could not find a photo of Neymar and Messi together for that, so I'm sorry. So that's the example. That was not planned, by the way. Okay? And just a reminder here, when we open the floor for discussion, in this case, Neymar would have priority to speak first, since he's the one that proposed that motion. Okay, so basically he would have preference to justify why he's moving that elections will be decided by a football match. All right. Also, some considerations for this, right? Every time that you raise your hand to state something, please make sure that what you're saying is relevant to the discussion, right? That you are debating the topic itself, not the person that moved that topic, or saying any other kind of thing. So always be objective on the matter that you are discussing, right? Once you raise your hand, and because we have limited time of GA, you have a maximum time of 2 minutes to speak what you want. Once that time is over, you're unfortunately going to have to take the mic away from you. Another important thing, in order to keep, and that's based on Robert's rules, we do not mention the people's name, right? So if you want to say about the person that moved the motion, you can use, for example, the previous person, the person that moved the motion, right? And you should always be speaking to the chair. In this case, that's me. Finally, once we make a decision, right? So if there's no objection, card raising vote or roll call vote, we cannot go back to discuss this matter. And now let's go to the secondary motions. That is also the colored cards that I was talking, right? So the first secondary motion that we have is called a point of privilege. So basically, you're gonna is a motion. This one that is not discussed is not related to what is being discussed. It's related to something else. So, for example, I will raise my hand, ask for a point of privilege, and say, "Oh, it's too hot here in the GA room. I'm sweating a lot. Could you turn on the AC, please?" As a point of privilege, then hopefully the DLC would help us with this. You can always use that. For example, if the microphone is too loud or too low, if the person is speaking too fast or too low, right? And also, in case you do not feel that you have enough information for what being discussed, or you miss a part of it, or you just want to summarize it, you use what is called point of information. So basically, you raise your hand when the chair acknowledges you. You stand up, say your name, say your MO, and then you say point of information, please. And then the chair is going to summarize it for you. Important. If you say point of information, you should not give information or debate what's being discussed. You are requesting information. Okay? If you are shy, or if you don't want to interrupt the discussion to make a point, you can always use the colored cards that we have here, such as the yellow, the blue, and the orange one. And each one has a meaning. If the person is speaking too fast, like I am right now, you can raise the yellow card. Then the person will know, like, oh, I'm speaking too fast. It's time to speak low. If you miss something and you want it to be summarized, you just raise your phone with the blue card. Then the chair will summarize it. And if this person is speaking too low, then you just raise your orange card, right? Very easy. And you can find all this information in the PDF file that will be in the delegate folder. All right. We also have those secondary motions that do interfere with the discussion, right? So the first one is the point of order, which is the most badass of all the secondary motions, right? So basically the point of order is if at some point we stop following the GA's rules, right? So basically everything that I was saying before. In this case, you don't need to raise your hand and wait for the chair. You can raise your hand, stand up, and speak at that moment. Not only you can, as you should do that. And it's not rude. It's rude if you don't do it. Right? And also, if we are discussing and reach a topic that you don't know what is the actual procedure that should be taken into consideration, because it's something that is in the bylaws, and nobody knows everything about the bylaws, or in the Constitution, or in the big book of Robert's Rules of Order, you can always call for a parliamentarian inquiry. That is basically, we're going to ask the parliamentarian to check the bylaws, Constitution, or Robert's Rules. Any questions so far? Oh, you guys are very smart. Man. It took me a long time to get all that. Okay. Going back to secondary motions, we also have the ones to amend something, right? So amend something is, let's say we start a discussion, as the example of Neymar, and you want to change something. For example, you don't like football, and you want to change the sports. You prefer volleyball, so then you want to amend that. So that the elections will be decided, for example, on a football match or a volleyball match. Then it's amendment. You can always make a friendly amendment. A friendly amendment is a change that do not change the meaning of the word. It's usually to correct grammar or some punctuation on it. That's also grammar. Uh, in case the discussion prolongs, you can always, at any point, can someone propose to withdraw the the discussion that we are having right now, the motion that was planned on. But on this case, we need the GA to give permission for it. If you want to withdraw it, you need to state, oh, sorry. And then you have, I moved the previous question, which is a very nice word. Right, so in case you bring this one, the idea is that you stop debating this, the topic that we are right now. So for example, when the discussion postponed itself for too long, then we're going to have a 2/3 majority. So usually we do need to call for a roll call vote. So as you can see, there are many secondary motions. And I noticed that you all take photos of it. So this won't be an issue for you. So again, I'm going to repeat it all. So every MO has 2 votes, right? Every MO has the right to speak. Everyone has the right to give their opinion, right? And abstain is not no. Abstain is just that you do not want to give your opinion. We have 3 different methods of casting votes, right? So first of all, objections, then raising cards, then roll call vote. And we will always use Robert's Rules of Order that I've been speaking for the past 10 minutes. Also, there are many secondary motions. You can always find that in the GA booklet that you all received yesterday. And also, you can find some of them with the cards in the PDF file in the delegate draft. Another example that we have here. Awesome. So now we're going to work with this with you guys. So as I said, the chair cannot make a motion, it can only entertain a motion. So let's give here an example. The chair entertains a motion that this GA will be awesome. Okay? Then once I do this, as I mentioned, somebody needs to say, blah, 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 raise their hand, their MO, and say, I so move. So in this, now I expect someone to just follow this example for me. Give to you give for the first raised hand. Awesome. Nice. So you guys get it. Cool, cool, cool. So now that we finish our example, I'd like to go to a real one. So not an example. So the chair, that's me, introduces a motion to grant observers of this session of the General Assembly the right to speak. What does this mean? It means that everyone that is on the gallery would have the right to raise their hand and give their opinion. And this is not an example, so please guys do the same as we did in the previous one. Yeah.
IVSA Morocco. I move to grant observers of this session of the General Assembly the right to speak.
I'm sorry, Mahdi, but that's not what happened. The chair entertained a motion. So when the chair entertains a motion, you need to state your name, your MO, and then I so move.
IVSA Morocco, I so move.
Second.
Nice, thank you very much. And we also learned a little bit now. Huh? Okay, so I spoke a lot, and a lot, which get me very tired. So I would like you guys to remember that anytime you can raise your hand, you can speak, and you should do that. It's also a very good way to, put the confidence up, right? And if you have questions, you can always ask your friends nearby. You can see that we have officials all over the room, so you can always ask them. They are more than gladly will help you with that. That's it from this presentation. Cool, cool. All right. So now we have the next topic that is granting candidate members organization voting rights. So I guess you all remember that during the time that we were having special general assemblies, we did made a temporary resolution that grant that MOs that were created as candidate MOs during the pandemic, they would get voting rights at the beginning of the first GA in person that they attended, right? So that will be defined during the roll call that is going to start right now. Awesome. So for this, I will call the Secretary General to start the roll call.
When I call your MO, just please stand up and state here. And we're just going to go one through one. So IVSA Algeria. IVSA Algeria. IVSA Austria. IVSA Bangladesh. IVSA Belgium. IVSA Bosnia and Herzegovina. IVSA Brazil. IVSA Bulgaria. IVSA Colombia. IVSA Colombia. IVSA Croatia. IVSA Cyprus. IVSA Czech Republic. IVSA Denmark. IVSA Egypt. IVSA Estonia. IVSA Finland. IVSA France. IVSA Germany. IVSA Ghana. IVSA Greece. IVSA Grenada. IVSA Hungary. IVSA India. IVSA Indonesia. IVSA Iraq. IVSA Ireland. IVSA Italy. IVSA Japan. IVSA Latvia. IVSA Lithuania. IVSA Malawi. IVSA Malaysia. IVSA Mexico. IVSA Morocco. IVSA Namibia. IVSA Nepal. IVSA Nigeria. IVSA Norway. IVSA Pakistan. IVSA Palestine. IVSA Peru. IVSA Philippines. IVSA Poland. IVSA Portugal. IVSA Romania. IVSA Rwanda. IVSA Serbia. IVSA Slovakia. IVSA Slovenia. IVSA South Africa. IVSA South Korea. IVSA Spain. IVSA Sudan. IVSA Sweden. IVSA Switzerland. IVSA Taiwan. IVSA Tanzania. IVSA Thailand. IVSA the Netherlands. IVSA the Netherlands. IVSA Trinidad and Tobago. IVSA Tunisia. IVSA Turkey. IVSA Uganda. IVSA UK, IVSA USA, IVSA Venezuela, IVSA Zimbabwe. Quorum is 33.33%. We do not have quorum.
All right, the chair would like to entertain a motion for a stand at ease. So those of you that don't know, stand at ease is like a break, but you guys cannot leave the room. So, yes. Then when the chair entertains a motion, yeah. Okay, so let's go for a stand at ease, guys. at 1520 UTC plus 1. Now, Secretary General, if you could clarify the quorum situation again for us.
James Galageri, IVSA Exco. We have 41.51%. We have reached quorum.
Sorry for this, guys. We had a minor mistake with our spreadsheet that was counting active candidates as well in the quorum. So as I mentioned in the previous topic, according to the temporary bylaw resolutions, active candidates. Yes, I see a hand here. I got lost now. Yes, please. Also with the mic, which I'm not sure why the people that were ahead of them are not ahead of them. Huh?
Another out-of-order person was actually not allowed to speak because she's an observer and not a delegate. And the motion that we did before was not approved. It was just seconded, but it was not discussed or approved, so she's actually not yet allowed to speak. So we still have to approve the motion that we said.
The motion was approved.
Someone said I so moved, someone else said second, and then we continued. But there was not asked, is there any discussion? There was not said the motion was approved.
All right. Yeah. Sorry for the small confusion here. So let's go back to what we were talking before, right? So guys, please. Yes, we are in GA. Okay, thank you very much. So going back with the example that I apparently did it wrong, right? So the chair would like to entertain a motion to grant observers to the General Assembly speaking rights. Don't forget to need to raise your hand before, and don't forget that someone was ahead of the mics as we agreed on in the last two EXCO meetings.
Second.
All right, now the floor is open for discussion. Does anyone has any discussion regarding the motion that was just proposed here? I don't see any hands. Any objections? Okay, that motion passes. Now, observers do have speaking rights at the General Assembly. Nice. Now that this step back is done, as I mentioned, as was mentioned in the previous topics, active candidates that showed up as the first in-person GA, according to the temporary resolution, would be given active members status at the beginning of the General Assembly. In this case, I would like our Secretary General just to state to us if we have, I believe I did say India was present.
James Galageri, IVSA Exco. IVSA India is present and will be given voting rights by the bylaw resolution.
All right, so there you go. So from now on, IVSA India does have active member status according to the bylaw resolution. Now we can move to the next topic. There is the election of the chair of the GA. I do not want to stay in this position anymore. As you guys can see, I'm not very good at it. So, nominations for the position of chair of the General Assembly. Yes, I see a hand here.
I nominate Mel Cruz from IVSA Belgium for a position of chair of the General Assembly.
All right, Meryl. Okay. Awesome. Do we have any more hands? I see none. So congratulations, Meryl. You're the new chair of the General Assembly. That means that I can stop embarrassing myself here.
And now I can start embarrassing myself. Thank you. It feels nice being up here again. And yeah, I'm excited. Let's continue. Up next is agenda number 5, which is the election of the parliamentarian. All right, so for those of you that don't know, the parliamentarian is basically someone who's supposed to know a lot about the bylaws, the IVSA Constitution, and then also Robert's Rules of Order. So that's the person that anyone can address using a parliamentary inquiry, or if you just ask a question, I can be like, okay, that was a parliamentary inquiry, so we'll just use a parliamentarian, and then he can look it up and get back to the GA later with an answer, hopefully clarifying what our bylaws say or what IVSA is supposed to do, or just the general rules of our assembly. Having said that, are there any nominations for parliamentarian? Yes. Mateo? All right. Are there any other nominations for parliamentarian? Seeing none, Mateo is elected without a vote. Congratulations for a new parliamentarian. Then up next is the election committee. So you guys have already seen it past that we're going to have some elections again this symposium. We're going to be electing our new president. If you're interested in running, make sure to talk to Yuli before. We're going to elect a new secretary. Also talk to Exco or Trust, so me and Mehdi, or any of the current secretaries about it, if you're interested in running, or James.
James Galigeri, IVSA Exco. I would like to request when speaking into the microphone, please make sure you are speaking loudly and clearly so we can know who is speaking. Thank you.
Yes, James is actually writing everything down and he needs to actually record everyone's name. So especially because we're all from different countries, we all have confusing names. Make sure to pronounce your own name very clearly, articulate, and say it slowly so James can actually know what he's doing. For election committee, we're also having opening nominations for secretariat, for MENA representative. If you want to run for those, you can be on the election committee because the election committee cannot run for anything, needs to be impartial, needs to be unbiased, and needs to have at least one current or previous EXCO member. So that's what the election committee consists of, a total of 3 people. Having explained what the election committee is now, are there any nominations for the election committee?
Arvin Radama, IVSA Indonesia. I would like to nominate IVSA EXCO for the election committee.
Salsa. Laura.
Rodman, IVSA Croatia. I would like to nominate Karina Karpic for election committee.
Karina.
Karina Karpic, IVSA EXCO. I accept. IVSA Peru. I would like to nominate Susana Chekai from IVSA Poland to election committee. Oh my God, so many.
All right, perfect. That means we have 3 nominations now. As I see no other hands, you guys are also elected without a vote. Welcome to the election committee and good luck. Next on the agenda is election of the report card auditor. Some more background information on this. Every year, all officials are evaluated by their peers, so by everyone that they've worked with. And then a report card is compiled of both negative and positive feedback, and we're all given a grade basically out of 10. It just consists of some basic information of how we performed during our term. To make this process also unbiased, we can't just have an official also be in charge of their own. Like usually the Secretary General runs this project, we can't have the Secretary General be responsible for his own report card, and he might also change someone else's. That's why we have a report card auditor, so that's someone that's not in the team of officials, that's unbiased, and will see to it that all evaluations have been worked into the report cards well and without any big alterations. Is there a nomination for the report card auditor? Okay, there are no nominations for report card auditor. Are we not doing? Okay. I will table this agenda point until further notice. Hopefully. The chair will now entertain a motion. I was already ahead of myself. The chair will now entertain a motion to table agenda point 7 until further notice. Trinity. Is there any discussion on tabling this topic? Tabling means we don't cut it out of the agenda, we don't finish it, we just put it on hold, and then when we want to retake it, I can entertain a motion to untable it, and then we just do it again. And then we can finish it. That's what untabling is. Any other discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Agenda point is tabled. Then we are off to agenda point 8, which is amendments to and approval of the proposed agenda. You've all received the delegates booklet, and you've all received the proposed agenda in there. James.
James Codjury, IVSA Exco. I move to strike agenda point 25.6. It is in regards to the IVSA Journal Task Force. That will not be discussed now, but will be at the Congress in Denmark.
Is there any further discussion on the motion, which is to strike out the agenda point on the task force? Susanna?
Point of information, why are we rescheduling the discussion about it at the Congress? Is there a specific reason why?
Salsa?
Yeah, well, the IVSA Exco, it was because the IVSA General Task Force is not yet established for this term. It was terminated in November, but it was for the last term. So for this term, it will be open after this symposium, and it will be reported in the GA in Denmark. Thank you.
All right. I hope that was clear. Is there any other discussion on striking out the agenda point? Any striking out agenda point 25.6 on the IVSA Journal Task Force? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Agenda point is strike out. Are there any other amendments to the proposed agenda? Then the chair will now entertain a motion to approve the proposed agenda with the amendment that was just made. Constantina?
Constantina Luca, IVSA Greece, I so move.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. We can continue with our new and improved agenda. All right, I already spoke about this for a little bit, but we're going to open nominations for president now. These nominations are going to be open until GA number 3. So there's going to be 3 possibilities if you want to run for you to get nominated. And and this is going to be the same for the other positions as well, just because we need time for the nominees to prepare for elections, for their speeches, and then after we have to do elections, so it can be open for the entire event. Are there any nominations for president 2023, 2024? Seeing none, nominations are now closed and will reopen again in the next General Assembly. Are there any nominations for MENA Regional Representative? Yes, Tammy? Is Mohammed here? I expect not, because you're not Mohammed. Okay, thank you. Any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. Nominations will now close and reopen again at the next General Assembly. Then we continue with nominations for Secretariat. Are there any nominations for Secretariat? Seeing none, nominations will close and reopen again at the next General Assembly. Then nominations for the 73rd IVSA Congress, which is 1.5 years away. Are there any nominations? Okay, I see no nominations here. I do want to let you guys know we already have 2 running nominations. IVSA Peru, IVSA Peru and IVSA Bosnia, and Herzegovina. So those are the 2 memos that are already running. There can still be another nomination here if you guys nominate someone. Those were nominated at the previous meeting of the General Assembly, which was in Brazil. Then nominations will now close and reopen at the next General Assembly. Then we continue with agenda point 13, which is nominations for the 73rd IVSA Symposium, which is 2 years away. We will be electing our IVSA Congress at this event. The IVSA Symposium will only be elected at the Congress in Denmark. That's why these nominations are going to be open throughout the entire event. And then for a couple of GAs in Denmark as well. Are there any nominations for the 73rd IVSA Symposium in 2 years? Seeing none, nominations will now close and reopen again at the next General Assembly. Then off we go. Continuing with GA1 onwards. The chair will now entertain a motion to go into stand at ease. To stand at ease for 10 minutes. I want to see someone new do it. Stop. Yes. No? Me? Good job. Yay. Any discussion on going into a stand at ease? I'm going to discuss. We would like to have all of the buddies go to their countries because we're going to go discuss the bylaws after this. And we want to make sure that if you guys have any questions, they were sent to you in the delegates booklet. The buddies are quickly going to go over them with you so you can already address some of your concerns and get your questions out to them. They'll give you some more information so you're prepared for the discussions we're going to have after this, okay? So that was my thing. Is there any further discussion on standing at ease and talking to your buddies? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. We're at ease for 10 minutes. before. I understand, especially if you've not been to GA before, that these documents might be a little overwhelming and you don't really know what to do with them. So you can always come and ask me as well. But the GA does become so much more interesting if you've actually prepared yourself for it and if you actually understand what we're discussing. Because otherwise, you're not going to be able to actually participate in anything, and that would be a waste of your own time as well as a waste of mine and theirs and everyone else's here. So please make sure to prepare, make sure to read up on all the documents that we sent you, and then we're going to have some amazing discussions here, hopefully. Then I am calling the meeting back to order at 3:53 Slovenia time. Which means we're continuing with GA1 onwards. First up on the agenda is the first bylaw amendment on MO duties. Vonda has a hand.
Okay, Vanda Ducic, IVSA Exco. I move to change this section. Do I need to read the whole section?
Very quickly, first we make the motion to make the amendment as an explanation. Then it gets seconded, and then we open the floor to discussion, and then Vonda gets to discuss her bylaw amendment and her reasons to make the bylaw amendment. So we're not just gonna go over it very quickly.
Okay. Okay, Vanda Ducic, IVSA Exco. So I move to change this section that is 11.1.1 duties by adding annually submitting a list of members from their national member organization committee, national board, local chapters and their representatives. And adding, informing regional representatives and member organization director about the formation of a new local chapter, its university representative, and the number of its members.
Was there a second?
Second.
Okay, so now the motion on the floor is to move the yeah.
We didn't actually move to change the bylaws because this is technically an amendment to the amendment.
Yes.
So I need to make the amendment and then amend the amendment.
Or do you just Mateo?
Matteo Carnevale, obviously easily. She just stated the
Yes.
bylaws amendments
Yeah.
that has been circulating 1 month prior to GA, and what we are seeing is not
Yes.
what she proposed.
No.
Vanda Ducic, IVSA Exco. I move to strike out in brackets, example, national board, local chapters and their representatives, and replace it with, and a list of local chapters, so that it states okay, I'm doing it again. Valid IVSA Exco, so I move to change the section stated above by adding annually submitting a list of members from their national member organization committee, example, national board, local chapters, and their representatives, and also adding informing regional representatives and member organization director about the formation of a new local chapter, its university representative, and the number of its members.
Any discussion? Since Vanda is the person that made the motion, the mover always gets the floor first. So the person that makes the motion always gets to elaborate on their motion before anyone else gets to discuss it.
Another IVSA Exco. So I move to strike out in brackets example national board, local chapters and their representatives, and replace it with and a list of local chapters, so that it states annually submitting a list of members from their national member organization committee and a list of local chapters. The reason for it is the first we wrote it this way, however, it is not according to our bylaws.
Under our knowledge, essentially, we have to second it, and then we can open to discussion for the amendment to the amendment.
So I just repeat it again? Vanda Tucevia I move to strike out example national board, local chapters and their representatives, and replace it with and a list of local chapters, so that it states annually submitting a list of members from their national member organization committee and a list of local chapters.
As you can see, we have been doing this for years and we still struggle. So it's okay if you guys make mistakes too. So please, please, please don't be afraid to speak up, because I love seeing your faces and hearing your voices. Having said that, I'll quickly explain what just happened. First, in the GA booklet, a bylaw memo was sent to you. The one that was sent to you was the one that does not include any of these changes that are now made with Google Docs. Oh, yes. Okay, so this, I'm not great with computers, so that's why I have them. This is the original bylaw amendment. And now, how do I get back? Oh, yes. And now the changes that have been made is the first motion was to amend this bylaw so that now it should include point 3 and point 4. After that, there was an amendment to the amendment, which is to strike out national board, add in and a list of, and also strike out and their representatives. So that now point 3 is added in the way it is there now with the strikeouts and adding in and a list. And then the point 4 is included, but there has not yet been an amendment to strike out university representative and to add in national committee representative. I feel like that's going to come afterwards as well. And now, yes, I'm just explaining what's happening. So that's what happened. Let me think. So now we're at the amendment to the amendment, which means we're only discussing striking out national board and striking out and their representatives and adding it and the list up. We are not talking about adding in point 3 and 4. That's not up for discussion. We're just striking out the things. Once we've voted on the amendment to the amendment, we go back to the original amendment. And then we can amend that again, or not, or blah, blah. So, again, only the last changes that were just made are a motion on the floor right now. Is there any discussion? Fonda, do you want to discuss what you did?
Fonda do IVSA EXCO. So the reason for these changes is that nowhere in our bylaws it is stated what is example national board. Everywhere it's stated national member organization committee. So to be coherent with our whole bylaws, that's why we are striking this part out. Also, national member organization committee consists of representatives. So that's why we are striking out and the representatives, because it would mean that we are asking for the same thing 2 times, so there is no need for it. And to make it to make it grammatically correct, we added in the list of local chapters. So that's it.
Any other discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. We've amended the amendment for the first time. Please clap. Can I just do it? I got confused. All right, so now what is on the floor is this amendment. Now, is there any discussion?
Wanda Ducic, IVSA EXCO. I'm proposing the amendment. I move to replace university representative with national committee representatives so that it states informing regional representatives and member organization director about the formation of new local chapter, its national committee representative, and the number of its members.
Second.
Okay, that was another amendment to the amendment. Is there any discussion on this amendment? Basically, it's the same thing we just did. So we're still trying to make it coherent with the rest of the bylaws. First, Taha.
IVSA Morocco, point of information. I just want to know what is the reasons behind this modification.
Fonda, as it's your amendment.
Wanda Ducic, IVSA EXCO. So the reason for this is similar like the previous one. We do not have explained in our bylaws what a university representative is. We have term national committee representative. So to be coherent with our bylaws, we are proposing this change.
Thank you, Wanda. Mateo, do you still have a hand? No microphone.
Matteo Carnevale, IVSA Italy, point of information. Shouldn't be national committee representative of their faculty or university.
Please make sure to always address the chair, so don't look at someone. That's another fun rule. You're not allowed to say anyone's names or address any of the people that have spoken before. You can only talk to me, which is fun for me. So there was just a question. about why it shouldn't be National Committee representative of their faculty. Is there any other discussion? As Vonda's already spoken before, if someone else were to have any other discussion, I would have to give the floor to you. Because if you've already spoken on a motion, you can only speak again if there's no one else with a new point. Like now, Yuri. Don't raise your hand if you don't want to speak.
Yuri Kaupu, IVSA Exco. So answering the previous question. So when we are talking about check, super low. Okay, so we are talking about its. If you check here on this part, so we are mentioning all the national committee representative in the grammar here, so we don't need to actually add of its faculty afterwards.
Okay, is there any further discussion on the amendment that's now on the floor, which is to strike out university representative and add in national committee representative? Also, I hope your question was answered and it's all clear now. Seeing no further discussion, I'm gonna ask for any objections. Are there any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. And it's approved. Okay, now we are back to our primary motion, which was the bylaw amendment in and of itself, which was adding in point 3 and point 4 into point 11, point 1.1 duties of our IVSA bylaws. Is there any discussion on this motion? Vonda?
Wanda IVSA Exco. So the reason for this whole change is because I don't feel like this was. So the reason for this is because when we moved to a new structure, so we now are more recognizing MOs as a whole, member organizations, like as a country, and inside of countries we have many local chapters. And by moving to a new structure, we no longer kind of have a control of this local chapter. It's not a control, like we don't know which local chapters we have. We cannot connect to them. We cannot communicate with them. And so to have a better communication between IVSA Global and its old chapter, like MOs and local chapters, and to have a better communication between MOs and its local chapters, we are proposing this bylaw amendment to make the whole thing easier and to know who is in charge of their local chapter, which would help not only us but other exchange officers, sponsors, partners, etc.
Any further discussion? Susanna? Please take your microphone.
Susanna Salvador, I just wanted to ask if we can clarify the annually, like when during the year is going to be asked, because the number of members that we have in September is not the same number of members that we have in January, for example. And also when it says submitting, in what form, like for me, like I need to update this list of members that I have like every month, every day that comes on a new member. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, thank you. I'm not gonna answer the content of your question, but a reason for not specifying such things in the bylaws is because our bylaws are just a general way in which IVSA should be conducted, the more specific our bylaws are, the more restricted IVSA as an association is. So though your questions are valid, of course, and can still be answered and should be answered, I would say that could be a reason why we're not putting it, why those things are never put into the bylaws ourselves, but still, it's a great point for discussion. So, want to explain. Vonda, do you want to answer that?
Vanda, did you tell say EXCO? So when we are saying annually, it is like how our fee year is kind of, so from January to January. And about so for the second part, it is, we want you to inform us every time you form a new local chapter. That is the whole point. So we know that we have a new local chapter, so we can help them, communicate better with them, and see how things are going, and to know the amount of their members. Did I miss some questions?
I hope that was answered to your satisfaction. All right, any further discussion on this bylaw amendment? Yes.
Recent meeting, like in South Korea, I just wonder that if it is mandatory to annually submitting a list of local chapters, if there are not any local chapters in the national member organization committee.
Rhonda?
IVSA EXCO. So to answer your question, if you do not have local chapters, you do not need to report the university representative or the number or names of local chapters because you do not have them.
All right, any further discussion on this bylaw amendment? Seeing none, and having seen that there's no real discussion against it, I'm gonna not call for any specific type of vote, but I'm just gonna continue with, are there any objections? Seeing none, motion passes, the bylaw is amended. There's this thing in the screen that I can't get rid of. I've been trying, but I don't know how. Dum, 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 dum. Oh, okay. Next up on the agenda, bylaw amendment number 2 on regional representative nominations. Continue to pay attention, please. We will go into a little coffee break after this, so just power through with me, bear with me for just a little bit longer. Second bylaw amendment. Where is it? Oh. All right, so this is the second bylaw amendment. Yuri.
Yuri Kalbu, IVSA EXCO. So I move to strike out the part regional representatives can send the nomination online starting 30 days before Congress and until 40 hours before the meeting during which the election is to take place in section 10.4 nominations and elections of the bylaws.
All right. Is there any discussion? Yuli, you may start.
Yuri Kalvu, IVSA Exco. So the reason we are proposing to strike out this section is that this was already done twice in this year. So in Brazil, we did have elections for regional representatives, and we are doing right now again for MENA regional representatives. And in both cases, the form itself was not useful for the election since we do not have any valid nominations for so far for this one. And in Brazil, where we did have two valid nominations, both of them were also repeated during the GA since the two people that were nominated were not. They thought that because it was online, it was not working. So it's just generating extra work for the election committee and has no actual benefit for the elections itself.
All right, that was very clear. Any further discussion on this amendment? Okay, seeing none. Are there any objections? Seeing none again, motion passes. The chair will now entertain a motion to go into recess for 10 minutes. Sylvia, in the corner. I love seeing new people participate. And even though I may not know your name yet, I will know it by the end of the event if you speak up. Any discussion on going into recess? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. We're in recess. Please stay seated for 1 second because I will always continue to talk. I'm very sorry, even if you don't want me to. We are first going to take a picture with all the delegates. You already have bingo? No, the entire card, not just one line. Okay, sorry. Okay, I should have specified that. My fault. Anyways, we are going to be taking a picture on this side of the room because there's more space. Tara's here. She's going to help guide you guys with that. After that, we have a little coffee break outside. Okay? Now we're in recess. Now everyone can stand up and we can move over there to take a picture. countries written on the back. There's some papers there. You can take your pen and you can write sweet, loving notes to all your fellow delegates. It can be to a person. Just make sure to write the name of the person once you fold it a little and then put it in the back. Or it can be to an entire country. Exco will have their own bag. Constantina.
Two notes I would like to ask. First of all, please show your love. It's really nice to have full bags with clear notes and like 10. So even like just, you know what, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. It's a good note, so feel free to participate in it. And secondly, if you want to create a bit of chaos, add some lovely comments. And if you want to create a little chaos, add something spicy just a bit. I'm not gonna say anything inappropriate, of course. I'm not saying that, if you want to play with it, you can play, but most of it is to show our appreciation and love. They're there, they have many colors, check them out. They're gonna be there always. So go. Yes.
Not go right now, but go after GA or before GA or in breaks. All right, yeah, don't forget to do it. It's so much fun. And don't forget to give some special love to Slovenia. Make sure to leave some cute notes for our OC and obviously also our executive committee and other officials if you want to. Okay, that was announcement number 1. Number 2, apparently people have been leaving the GA hall while I was speaking and I didn't notice. If I would have noticed, I would have yelled at you. It's hard for me to look at everyone at the same time, especially because it's split up. You are not allowed to leave the GA once you've been called to order. You cannot leave during the silent ease. You can only leave during recess. If you need to pee, point of privilege. I want to pee. You can ask for a recess. You guys can ask for a recess at any time you want. If you want to use the restroom, if you need to use the restroom, just let me know. Just don't start running out because that's chaos and not allowed. So don't do that anymore. Just talk to me. It's fine. We can do bathroom breaks if you need them. Having said that, I'm going to call the meeting back to order at 4:56 Ljubljana time. Yes. Look, I've decided I'm going to dedicate myself to the cause of, at the end of this event, I won't know how to pronounce it. I'll just need some preparation. Okay, meeting's back to order. Agenda point 17. I know, but it kept moving. I'm trying, guys. Okay, so this is the bylaw amendment. I need someone to move it. Vanda.
Vanda Ducic, IVSA Exco. So I move to amend the bylaws to add the following paragraph. The regional representative shall report their activities to the General Assembly. The regional representative is responsible to supply accurate minutes from the work of the regional team to the Secretary General. To the section 10.3 responsibilities. So the amended bylaws will then state, and Mel, could you scroll down? Oh, it is already here, like this. If you want me to read it, no. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on this bylaw amendment?
Banda do Chicha will say Exco. So the reason for this is we've added the regional reps and representatives, and since then they are not obligated to provide what they are doing to the General Assembly. So our idea is that they have to do it. Similar like committees are doing it at all General Assemblies. And the other reason for it is to support our regions and show that they are important and to show what they are doing to the General Assembly.
Any further discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Bylaws amended. Next up is, thank you. The chair will now entertain a motion to table agenda point 18 up and until 24, up and including 24. So we'll move to agenda point 25. So what I did was I entertained a motion. Matteo?
Matteo Carnevale, IVSA Islay, I so move.
Any discussion on tabling this? Exco just wants to table it. We'll get back to it later on. We want to get some of the easier updates out of the way first now. That's the explanation on why we're doing it. Any further discussion? Any objections? Seeing none, motion passes. Agenda points are tabled, which means we are continuing with our president update. Yuli.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna present the updates. I think that's enough of bylaws for today, right? Is it fortunes? All right, yeah. So what I'm gonna be doing my report here of the activities that I've been doing. I will promise to be fast because I don't like to speak in public. So there are maybe three topics that I would like to talk here. First of all, partner relations, UN relations, so UN is United Nations, and also internal structure / communication. So first of all, partner relations. So I just focus on a few of them, the ones that we have more interaction during these past 4 months. So to start of it is FE, the Federation of Veterinarians from Europe, which we just attended an event a few weeks ago that will be reported later, right? So at the moment, we are engaging with some very nice relations with a few committees of them. So ADRI, their Committee on Education, UEVP, their Committee on Veterinary Practitioners, and UEVH, their Committee on Public Health, right? So with a special highlight here for ADRI and UEVP, where we just had two presentations as they're at GA, and one of them being a joint research made by the MOD and the SCOBY team, right? Besides this, ADVI is a very important partner of IVSA since they offer us a structural support, right? So we have a mutual agreement where our headquarters is also their headquarters, and they do offer us a lot of support in legal matters like declaring taxes, fiscal issues, and all that we do not understand a lot, but they do. So we are always in very close relations with them and engaging more in collaborations for the future. Besides this, another partner that we do like to highlight that we are engaging a lot is WASAMA, where a couple of months as well, we sent around 100 people to their World Congress in Lima, Peru for the volunteer program, which there will be a report as well in the next days. They do have a nice, in the past years, they do develop a great interest in engaging youth to the point that we are right now discussing a potential new project that I personally think is very nice. Call it Leadership Forum. So basically, it would be a collaboration for our MOs in the Asian region, in which we would promote a forum for the board members to attend an event in Bangkok, and Wasawa is willing to support their travels there, where we would meet them with national boards from each country, right? So match IVSA units with their national boards and have a few days of sessions on leadership, which would be a very interesting project. Besides this, we have WVA, the World Veterinary Association, right? which has been always a great partner of IVSA. And especially on this term, we were able to negotiate with them two speaking sessions during the World Veterinary Congress, in which we will select a few IVSA members, right? So at least one to speak at it, which I think is a very nice opportunity that you guys will soon hear more about it. We also are hosting a volunteer program for the event that is coming up soon in April. And for the first time, we were able to establish a collaboration where our chairs will also work together with their working groups on veterinary education, public health, and animal welfare. Oh, there's a lot. We also have UA from Hawaii, in which they pass through a major restructure, and they are seeking for more engagement that will probably lead to more collaborations in the next upcoming months that you guys will definitely inform about. And we are also having a lot of engagements together with other international students associations, such as IPSF, IFMSA, IAAS, right? And conducting a few projects with them, as you guys probably heard about the AMR Youth Summit that happened a few months ago, and the high-level ministerial conference on AMR that also happened a few months ago, and there will be a report soon for you guys to hear about it. It's a very nice opportunity that we have. Besides this, a lot of the work that I do is regarding the internal structure of IVSA and communication, right? So that means that I do a lot of classes time. That's consume most of my time. So my work is ask people to do stuff for me. We do have a major project that's being conducted for the past, I don't know, 7 years. That there will be a report soon regarding the member portal. That is a joint collaboration between all EXCO members. And will impact in major changes in how we communicate. Very good, so good improvements. And also the term registration that we need to do every year when we have a new board elected, and quite takes a while. And besides this, we do have our meetings, the EXCO meetings, and one-on-one meetings that happen every 2 months with all EXCO members. Then we have another big project that I would like to take some time to speak with you that is focusing on our relations with the United Nations, right? So in this term, we had the opportunity to engage, initiate and continue conversations with a few UN entities. So at the moment, we were able to develop and continue the work that were happening in the past term with WHO, with FAO. We started working in started communication with UNEP, and we are in the process of applying for official relations with UNESCO. Why we are doing this? To start, this would generate a lot of opportunities for members, right? I don't know, you guys probably heard, but the most important youth conference and on matters related to public health, to the environment, to animal welfare, are organized by those agencies, right? So these do impact in opportunities for our members. Besides this, they do have a lot of funding for projects on those matters that can impact in a positive way our communities, and therefore our members as well, right? So basically, that's it, which is a lot, right? And the main reason that, as you can see, suddenly we are in relations with 4 UN entities is the same way as I was talking with Wasaba and WUWA, is that in the past years, there's a lot of growth in interest in engaging with youth. And when we are talking about veterinary youth, we are kind of a reference, right? Since we are the biggest veterinary student association in the world. So yeah, that's great. So that was all. Oh, yeah. So that was all from my report. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, Mahdi.
Mentioned on IVSA Morocco. What if any steps have been already taken to develop relations with UNESCO?
All right. So UNESCO is a very specific association that do not require past collaborations with them in order to become what they call a non-state actor. However, they do have a standard of procedure that you need to fill in order to apply. So basically, they have a series of documents that need to be filled. So right now, we are in the process of doing this, since a few of those documents are like, we need to provide with them for the list of all the activities, how they are relevant for the past 5 years. So this usually take a while, especially because well, we do a lot of stuff. So in the moment, we are gathering this information and preparing the letters that we want to be sent to them. Any more questions?
Then we move on to the next agenda point, which is the executive sessions report.
Thank you. Beauty cowboy, we say Exco. Yeah, it's me again. So yes, so according to the bylaws, we need to report every executive session that is held. So basically, executive sessions are one of those sessions that Exco can reunite and make a vote. These sessions, they're not open for non-Exco members unless it's decided by Exco that that person is pertinent to the discussion, right? So in the past 4 months, we had one. This meeting was held on the 3rd of December, so 1 month ago, more or less. The main topic of this was our US banking situation, and we were only able to make a partial decision, meaning that our goal was to solve 100% this matter, but due to lack of some important information that we consider, we were not able to make a final decision on this, right? So basically, what was discussed at the moment, our US bank, we do have an account there that exists, but we cannot take the money from the US that is there, right? So what was proposed is to make a decision of what we are going to do. However, it was missing some important information regarding the pros and cons of unlocking or canceling, or unlocking and keeping or unlocking and canceling this account. So the partial decision that was made was that we are going to make the unlock of it, so being able to use the money and take it out or keep it there until the end of this term. And then once we had enough information regarding the pros and cons, we would move for the second part of the decision, that is, should we keep this account? Should we not? Any questions on this?
IVSA logo. Point of information. What is the problem? Why they can't take the money from this bank?
So the reason that the money is stuck on this bank is because they are pending on registering the new term there. That was something that basically is pending, and we do need to, first of all, learn how to do this in the US. This is a whole different process from the bureaucracy that we do face in the Belgian government, where most of IVSA operations are centered. Any more questions? All right, thank you very much.
All right, then next up on the agenda is the External Relations Officer update, which is my favorite position. Yay! Allison, here you go.
Thank you very much. Okay, I see you all like this first slide. I do too. All right, so let's get going then. All right, so here are my main tasks as the External Relations Officer of IVSA. We have partners and sponsors. We have contracts to renew. I write those contracts. It's kind of tiring. But anyway, that's what we do. Develop new partnerships and sponsorships, because the more of those we have, the more opportunities we have, and we all love opportunities. So the next one is to facilitate sponsor engagement. Well, obviously, you get them, you want to make them stay around. So just like, here's a new project, it got better, this is what we do, stuff like that. So, for existing partnerships and sponsorships that have been renewed, Purina Institute was renewed this year, and so those are the two that we've done so far. The ones that we are currently reviewing, these are at varying stages. It's not showing, wait, no, it's showing very lightly, but SIVA, Plums, and Valley-Vet are bolded. And they're bolded because, well, they're practically done, and so they can be moved to renew all the time. That Samaya Lex was signed this year, but there was supposed to be a second one. Excuse me 1 second. So the next one is missing, and it's something that we've all been very, very excited for, is a partnership with Glue Up. They are the company that will be taking care of our membership program. Very exciting times. Clap again, please. So I just like to give some additional context as to why we are able to have the membership portal. As you saw in my previous slide, we had we renewed our sponsorship with Purina Institute, and one of the other slides is for Purina Brand, which is a new one. We've gotten some new finances from them, and that's allowed us to fund the members portal for the full duration of the contract. So we're all good, people. We're all good. So moving forward, these are some of the partnerships that are in development. Not bolded, but some of them that are should be bolded is IVEX and Purina Brand. Those should be done pretty soon as well. So more good news in Denmark if you're there. I'm there. But yes, so those are what we're working on, and yeah, varying stages of development. I love that. Yeah. Okay, so for sponsor engagement, it was pretty broad. So we do have some opportunities with our committees. Royal County, they're looking to work with the One Health Committee. Good times. So this should again create some new opportunities for our members, which again is one of my main tasks. Oh, that sucks. Well, I had a nice little slide that was going to say that it was done, and thank you for your attention. Yeah, there was a dancing dog as well, but just imagine a dog dancing. That's so weird. It was really hard to do that dance. Like, yeah, like the dog was like, it's really nice. But again, that's it for my presentation. Do you have any questions? Seeing none, I guess I'm done. Thank you again, and yeah, have a good time in Slovenia. It's nice.
Yay! Well done, Allison. We always love our sponsors and partners. Next up is our Development Aid Director update. So I'm going to hand over the microphone to Ajar, and after that, we're going to finish and go away.
Hello, everyone. So I'm the Development Aid Director, and I will be giving you updates on the projects that we've been working on this term. So the first one is the Be Kind Award, which is an opportunity for the MOs to do fundraising activities generating money for the development fund, which will help us to promote to create other projects for underprivileged MOs and help them. The deadline is on the 20th of February. And we will have one winner of this award, and we encourage every MO to participate because it's really important to promote kindness. The second project is the MO fund that is possible thanks to IVC Evidencia. So IVC Evidencia is donating funds to the development fund, which allowed us to create a member organization fund that will be used to assess with approve initiatives, projects, and membership fees. The deadline is on the 25th of January. And there is, of course, for all these opportunities, you will find the Google Forms on our social media. And you need to just fill out the forms and then you apply. And the project must be related to the following veterinary fields: animal welfare, One Health, veterinary education, soft skills, and wellness. We will select two IVSA MOs that will receive up to 400 euros to sponsor their projects or initiatives. Next, we have the reduced fee spots. So each IVSA Congress or Symposium, we have two reduced fee spots for the delegates. Applying for these is while applying for the Congress or Symposium. So when you filled out the forms for the Symposium, you had the opportunity to apply for the reduced fee spots. Next, the IVSA merchandise. So we are selling the IVSA merchandise during the event. So it is a way for the delegates to help raising funds for the development fund. For example, for this symposium, we're having hoodies, t-shirts, scrubs, mugs, notebooks, and for this symposium, we had a new idea because previously we only had like always the same products with IVSA logo. But for this term, we introduced a new idea, which is to have a touch of the traditional, like a traditional product, reminding us of the country we're having the symposium or the congress in. So for this symposium, we're having two products. The first one is the traditional laces, and the second one is the mugs because they're not regular mugs, but they are Slovenian mugs with the IVSA logo. And then the silent and live auctions. So you have a guide explaining everything about the auctions in the delegates folder because these events take part during the symposium. The silent auction, we have all the auctions in one big room, and delegates write their bidding number, and your bidding number is on your badges, so that way you can't forget it. And we also have a list with the bidding numbers. Okay. So as I was saying, the bidding numbers are on your badges, and you can also find them on the delegates folder. We have a document with the names of all the delegates and their bidding numbers. For the silent auctions, it's one big room with all of the items, and then you start bidding. And for the live auctions, we will have an auctioneer, which is Alison, and each delegate will be presenting the auction items that they donated. We have launched a form for the auction items, so you can fill it out with the auction items you're planning to donate. And we have during breakfast and during the GA breaks, we have a stand in which we receive the auction items and we also sell the IVSA merch. For the next project, it is the membership fee sponsorship project. So this is an upcoming project. It's still not available in our social media, but we will be opening a form very soon. This opportunity will allow MOs to sponsor other MOs by paying for their membership fees
because previously we only had the membership fee fund, which is the development fund, helping struggling MOs to pay for their membership fees. But now we're introducing a new opportunity for our MOs. So MOs that want to pay for other MOs their membership fees, they can do it. We will be launching a form for both MOs that want to pay and MOs that want to get sponsored. And as I said, this will be open very soon by the beginning of the second half of this term. And the last one is the Zotis Individual Exchange Scholarship. So this is an opportunity for IVSA members to fund their individual exchange. It is also going to be an upcoming opportunity back for the next term because we already had a meeting with them, but we're going to, and we suggested the proposal, but we need to have more meetings with them and submit a final proposal that will hopefully be approved by the beginning of the upcoming term. And that's it for me, and thank you for listening to me.
Are there any questions for Hajar? No? Okay, then make sure to attend all the auctions and to spend not all your money, but at least substantial amounts of it, because the DAD uses it for very great causes. Then, as promised, the chair will now entertain a motion to go into recess. Fonda. Oh, Sylvia.
Wanda do IVSA Exco, I so move.
I just want to say, I believe on your bingo cards, there's something about more than 15 people saying second, and I'm pretty sure this was more than 15 people. Anyways, any discussion on going into recess? Any objections? Seeing none, don't play with me. Seeing none, motion passes. We are in recess. Tara has announcements to make because we will have lectures after.